What's up everybody, James here and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm on my way to the Ferrari to do an oil change. I'm still waiting on the final inspection, which I'll get to here in just a second, but I figured while I'm waiting, no sense in letting it sit there and collect dust. We'll go ahead and just do the fluid change. I brought the equipment for the transmission fluid, but I don't think I'm going to do the transmission fluid today, but we are definitely going to do the oil. So, first and foremost, if you don't know already, we'll do a quick recap here. I purchased a damaged Ferrari. The car was wrecked in mid to late 2019. And I guess after the insurance totaled the car out, it went to an initial auction site at Copart. And then this dealership that I purchased it from, I guess purchased it from Copart. And I bought it early 2020. It came in February or early March 2020. And from there, I've been rebuilding it with the help of, and I got one of their fancy shirts, Collision Pro. These guys have been great. The process is taking a lot longer than we anticipated. A big part of it was the delays that come from COVID. But you know, another part of it was just sourcing parts in general. Finding parts is really not that big of a deal. It's really finding parts that are affordable. And that's the hard part. But I think maybe the COVID thing kind of played in my favor because probably not a lot of people out there buying parts, not particularly during this time. I've been in the fortunate circumstance where financially it has not affected me just yet. So I think I was able to get a couple of good deals on some parts just because you know, the money wasn't flowing probably for these places. Or I just got incredibly lucky. I don't know. So there's been some delays. We are in month 5. We do have a final inspection coming up. So when you have a wrecked vehicle and you know, you want to get it back on the road, you have to abide by the laws and regulations of that state. Here in Georgia, it's got to go through a safety inspection, and that's what we're waiting on. So the car got rebuilt, and we wait for somebody who's certified by the state to do a safety inspection. He is coming down on August 18th, which is 11 days from now. I'm not sure today's date. 11 days from now, I guess. So in that time, I'm going to try to get as much done as possible. Originally, I was going to just bring the car back home, put it up on jacks, and then kind of take my time and shoot a series of videos of changing the oil and transmission fluid. But again, no sense in letting the car sit and wait. We already know our inspection date, so we're going to go ahead and knock it out at the shop today. Okay, we're letting the car get up to temp. We're gonna get started, but I got a little bit of a problem. Let's go on the other side. Got an oil leak situation, I think. Let's see if I can get the camera under here. Yeah, you're not picking that up on the camera, but the where the oil pan is seems to be saturated. Let's go see what the underskirt looks like. I'll show you. It'll make sense. This is... if you can see that discoloring. So this is the back of the car. This is where the drain plug is. And then back here, that little saturated part was where the other plug is. So looks like I got a little bit of a problem. We're gonna have to sort out. But we're letting the car warm up and we're gonna get started. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get a light on that the whole time. Definitely want to use a breaker bar here just to at least get it loosened up. Once you get it loose, you should actually be able to unscrew this by hand, as you're gonna see here. I'm using a 14mm hex right here. Fuck with you here. Ferrari made this one at 12. right here is you see that right there? That's the plug for the oil. We're going to take that off right now. Hopefully not make a mess of ourselves while we do so. I'm going to put the camera down. This is also a 14mm hex. You're going to want to follow the same process, using a breaker bar to loosen it up, and then slowly take the bolt off there by hand. This one doesn't come out quite as fast as the engine oil. Now, you may have recalled at the beginning of the video, I said I really didn't want to do the transmission fluid. I think I kind of just got into the mix of things, and I was just moving too quick. I probably realized right at this moment that I definitely didn't want to do the trans fluid. Not that I didn't have faith in myself, but for the sake of time, because this was supposed to be a quick project, get the oil done, and then actually get back to work. However, I realized I made a big mistake here, and we are committed at this point. Now we're going to let the car down and let the oil drain out. We have that rear one is the front of the oil drain. This front one here is the front of the oil drain. And this one here is our transmission fluid drain. So we're going to drop it down and let that leak out. And meanwhile, we'll go ahead and change the filter on the top. All right, our engine filter is right down between there, which is a little bit of a pain in the ass to get to. So this is a long way to stretch. I got my filter removing tool, hoping this extension is long enough. If not, we got to go find a longer one. And my Torx wrench, so when we go to tighten it back up, we're tightening it to the proper Newton meter. I think this setup, I think that's like 30 or 40 bucks. I think this was 20 or 30 dollars on Amazon, so not that expensive. Again, you pay for it up front, but you can save yourself money in the long run. Got my cap fitted on there. Alright, so now we're good to go. Let the motor cool down a little bit so it's warm. We're going to get the new one, our new oil filter. All I'm going to do is drop a little bit of oil around this ring here. I'm going to use my finger. That'll help make sure this goes on correctly. So just put a little bit of oil in here. On there, you want to tighten this to 25 Newton meters, which is why you need one of these fancy guys. So let's just go in here. There we go. Okay, you can see here I removed the wheel. I removed the line that was in here, just 4 Phillips screws, 2 here, 2 on the side, which is why you got to remove the wheel. Plus, to get it out, you don't want to flex this too much because this will break easy. Very flimsy. Probably made of fiberglass, right? And I bet you that's a $75 or $125 part, so it's just better to remove the wheel. Bumper's held on. These 2 bolts right here, you probably can't see. Yeah, there you go. And there's 4 back here. They look to be 12 or 14 millimeter. Once you do that on both sides, you disconnect the light, the side marker light right here, and that bumper should slide right off. I'm doing this because the transmission refill valve is at the top of the transmission, and I could feel it, and I thought I can get my hand behind there, referring to that bucket of oil right there. Transmission oil that we just emptied, and I can feel it. I can get the tool on there, but I don't have enough clearance to get my hand in there and twist it off. So the only thing I could think of is removing the bumper, and maybe I'll have at least better line of sight to it. I thought I could do it without taking the bumper off, but evidently the bumper's got to come off. So pretty quick. Wheels off, 4 screws, 4 Phillips heads, 4 bolts back there, 2 bolts here, side marker light, and it's off. Okay, the bumper is off, and this is the elusive plug there. You can see the cat is in the way. And that was the reason why I couldn't reach it with the bumper on. With the bumper off, I can get a breaker bar in at this angle from the back end, get that loosened up. And so taking the bumper off, literally to just do that one plug. But not really that big of a deal if you've got the tools handy. Luckily, I'm down here at the shop. But yeah, all of that for that one guy. And in order to fill it up, you can see it's top facing. You got to get from above here. So I went to Lowe's and I bought this here tube that I'm gonna feed down in there, cut the length that I need, and we'll flush or feed the fluid down in there. So now that all the fluid's drained, you see transmission fluid there. Those two buckets are the oil. We're gonna go ahead and cap them back up, and I'm gonna start putting fluid into the transmission, and we'll put fluid into the motor, and we'll pick up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut out now and turn it back on here in just a few minutes. All right, that's our old sump plug, and got the new one fitted in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to tighten that up to about 35 Newton meters. All right, before we start filling up, it's a best practice to measure how much we took out, because we only want to put back in what we took out. So that's what we're going to do here. My measuring cup, that's my trans fluid. I'm going to pour it in here, and hopefully it'll hold it all or most of it, and I can get a good gauge of how much I use. So that's what we're going to do here. Okay, I've got the rear and front sump plug on the oil tightened up to 40 Newton meters, and we got the transmission sump plug up to 40 Newton meters. That's what some of the experts say. The manual says 70 Newton meters, but people say that's way too tight. You end up putting it on there too tight, stripping the bolts and all sorts of other weird issues. So 40 is what they recommend. That's what I did. I'm not gonna put everything back together yet. I am gonna drop it though. I started filling the transmission fluid there, probably about 100 ounces so far. My count is about 120 is what came out. So we're gonna drop it, level it out. I'm gonna measure it using the stick here, and we'll top it off accordingly. All right, now that we're done with the transmission fluid, I put about 100 ounces in. So not quite the 3.5 liters, 4 liters I think is in the manual, a little bit more than 3 liters in there. But that's exactly how much I took out of it, so that is fine. We're gonna go ahead and do the oil. I'm gonna add in 8 quarts first, and then we're gonna start the car, run it, and add oil as we go. So. All right, of course, now we're gonna run the car for a little while. We're gonna check the dipstick, make sure that yeah, we got a long way to go actually. So we gotta let it warm up, see where we're at with the oil. All right, it's been 15 minutes. No signs of issues right now. Let's go check the dash. I can actually see from here. So we'll walk around. The temp's fine. Oil pressure's bouncing around a little bit. I just added the 9th quart. I gotta check it again, but everything seems to be fine. So let's go check the dipstick. About right there, so I think I need to add that other quart. Okay, before we piece it all back together, I'm gonna take this opportunity to clean the rear bumper, and we're gonna clean the diffuser slash under guard thing that's out there covered in oil and dirt. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for today. I really appreciate you watching. If if you're going to do this job yourself, I really suggest that you have an extra pair of hands, mostly to remove the bumper safely, as well as to hand you tools while you're sitting underneath the car. It'll save you some additional time and effort. Otherwise, this job is actually relatively easy to do. It'll save you a whole bunch of money than taking it to somebody to do it professionally. It's not that difficult. I have faith in all of you guys. Definitely leave me comments, or if you have any questions, reach out. I appreciate it. Till next time.